We begin today on the top of Daf Nun Dalet Amud Aleph, 3 lines from the top of the page, 4 lines from the top of the page, where it says Erev Shabbos Shebetoich HaChag. And the Mishnah was discussing how many times they blew shofar in the Beis HaMikdash. So in the second half of the Mishnah it said that the most that they blew was 48 kailas. And when was that? On Sukkah, on Erev Shabbos and Chol Hamoed. And the Mishnah went through the cheshbon of all the different kailas that they blew, and the total comes out to be 48. So the Gemara says there's one thing that seems to be missing here in what it says in this Mishnah. The blowing of the shofar when they came to the 10th step, when they were going down from the Ezras Yisrael into the Ezras Nashim, they were walking down the steps to go to get the water for the Nisach HaMayim. So in the previous Mishnah it mentioned that by the 10th step they blew shofar. Here, when it goes through all the different places they blew shofar, it doesn't mention the 10th step. So according to our Mishnah, Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. It's Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. The Tanya, because in Abraisa we learned, Shalosh L'mayla Asiris. They blew shofar 3 times when they came to the 10th step. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov says, no, they did not blow shofar there. Shalosh al gabi ha-mizbeach. They blew 3 times shofar on the mizbeach. Now, what is this shalosh al gabi ha-mizbeach? So there's 2 pshatim in this. One pshat is that it refers to when they brought the arava on Sukkot. They would stand up the arava by the mizbeach and they blew shofar when they brought the arava. Another pshat, Rashi says, is when they were bringing the water for the Nisach HaMayim to the Mizbeach, they blew shofar as they were bringing the water to the Mizbeach. And Rashi actually says that really it's the same time. That the time they put up the arava and the time that they brought the water is the same time. So therefore it's two. The question is, what was the purpose of the blowing of the shofar? Was it for the arava or the water? But it was really the same time. So now the Gemara explains that the machlokes here is the Tana Kama that says that they blew shofar when they came down to the 10th step. He does not say that they blew shofar when they came to the Mizbeach, because he holds they didn't blow then. And the one that says that they blew shofar when they were coming to the Mizbeach, he holds they did not blow shofar when they came to the 10th step. So there's a machlokes there. So our Mishnah that doesn't mention the 10th step is Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. So the Gemara explains, now my time that Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, what's the reason Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov says they did not blow shofar by the 10th step? So he says, Kivin de toka lepsichas sha'arim, because they blew shofar when they were going out to get the water. So they blew when they were by the Shara Elyon, they blew when they came down to the Shara Tachta, and they were already blowing by the different gates when they were going out. So Lamaila Siris Lamali. What's the Indian to blow shofar by the 10th step? It's not necessary. Lamali de toka, what is he blowing for? Hai lav sharhu. It's not a gate that you're going out from, so it's not like a specific place to blow shofar. Hilkach al gabe mizbeach adif. So according to his opinion, the place to time to blow shofar is when you come to the mizbeach. That's significant, but not on the 10th step. Rabbanan Savri, Rabbanan's opinion is kivin de toka lemilu yamayim. If they already blew shofar when they went to fill up the water, al gabe mizbeach lomali. It's not necessary to blow shofar again by the Mizbeach. So Rashi here explains that the reason they're blowing shofar is an expression of simcha. And the simcha is connected to the water. And therefore, on every different step, as much as possible, they were blowing shofar, even on the 10th step also, because of the shafta mayim besassen. But then when they're coming to the Mizbeach and they're putting up the arava on the Mizbeach, it's not necessary to blow shofar anymore. That's according to that pshat, that the Al-Gabe HaMizbeach refers to putting the Arava on the Mizbeach. So that's the pshat in this machlokes. Hilkach l'mayla asiris adif. So therefore they blew shofar when they came to the 10th step. Ki asa Rab Acha bar Chanina midreime. When Rab Acha bar Chanina came from the south, Aisi masnite biyode, he brought with him a braisa that taught as follows. Uvnei Aaron HaKohen yitku b'chatzeitzeres. It says in the pasuk that the Kohanim blow with chatzeitzeres. Now it's that extra pasuk. She'ein tamad loimi yitku. It does not have to say here this pasuk that they blow with the chatzeitzeres. Shekvar nema. It says right before this, Usakatem b'chatzeitzeres al eliseichem v'al zivche shalmeichem. That they blow with the trumpets on the karbanis. So why does it tell you to say it again? Uma tamad loima yitku. So why does it say again yitku? Hakoil lefi amusafin taken. So this Braisa said that you blow with the trumpets according to the number of musafin that you have on that day. So he explained, Hu Tanila, he learned this Braisa, and Vu Amala, and he explained what it means. Laimar, this is coming to teach you, Shetaikin al kol musaf musaf. You blow shofar, or you blow the chatzaitzers, that is, not for just for one musaf, but if it's, let's say, a Shabbos Rosh Chodesh, so you're going to blow for the musaf of Shabbos, and you're also going to blow again for the musaf of Rosh Chodesh. Right, so for each musaf, you blow the tkiyas, you blow 9 times, as we learned over here in the Mishnah. The Mishnah said teisha. Where is it? Teisha l'tom shel shachat, teisha l'tom shel man, but teisha l'musafin. So if there's 2 musafin, you blow 9 kailas, once for one musaf and 9 kailas for another musaf. Oh, that's exactly what the Gemara is going to ask now. So what did we learn in the Mishnah? Erev Shabbos shebetei chachag. That Erev Shabbos, which is on Sukkah, and none of them was in Chol HaMoed, Hayusham Memches. There were 48 times that they blew shofar. Ve'mise, now if this is true, that they blew shofar for a musaf, that was 2 musafim, and they blew for each musaf, Listni Shabbos shebetei chachag. Why doesn't the Mishnah say a Shabbos that fell out in Chol HaMoed Sukkos? So then, Mishkachas lo, Chamshin v'chad, it would come out that you have 51. Why do you have 51? Because it's Erev Shabbos, they would blow 6 extra times to be mevatel people from the Malacha and to remind them that Shabbos is in. So you have to take out those 6, and instead you have to add 9 for the fact that it's an extra Musaf Shabbos in the middle of Sukkos. So therefore, instead of having 48, you're going to have 51, another 3. So why didn't the Mishnah say that the maximum to blow in the Beis HaMikdash is the number 51? Amar Rab Zeire, so Rab Zeire answers, Lefi she'ein teikin lepsichas she'oren b'Shabbos. Because on Shabbos you have to take out another 3. You don't blow on Shabbos in the morning when they used to always blow in the Beis HaMikdash when they opened the gates to come and do the Aveda. On Shabbos you don't blow those tkiyas. And Rashi explains why not. Because when they blew by the Karbanis, that's a mitzvah. That was the mitzvah to blow. So that's Doiche Shabbos. But in the morning, when they blew to open up the gates, that was just a signal to the Kayanim that the Aveda is beginning. That doesn't push off Shabbos. That's not a mitzvah, so therefore they wouldn't blow that on Shabbos. So therefore it still is 48. So it's not more than the number that the Mishnah said. Amar Rave, so Rave doesn't accept this answer. Rave says 2 questions. First of all, he says like this, Man ha dolechosh lekimche. Who is the one that gave this answer that's not concerned with the quality of his flour that he's grinding? He's saying an answer that it's not pure, it's not good. Chode, one problem I have with this answer is the b'chol yoimtnan. In the beginning of the Mishnah, when it said about the 21 kailas that they would blow every day, so it says every day they would blow when they would open the gates in the Beis HaMikdash in the morning. It doesn't sound like it excludes Shabbos. So even Shabbos they would blow this. That's number one. Another question, Inamika dodininu, even if Erev Shabbos on Chol HaMoed and Shabbos on Chol HaMoed is the same number, 48, Listni Shabbos shebetei chachag hayisham arba mishmeina. The Mishnah should rather say that it would be better for the Mishnah to teach me this case of Shabbos and Chol HaMoed, that they blow 48, because there's a bigger chiddush here than the blowing on Erev Shabbos and Chol HaMoed. Why? So he explains, the Shamit Mina Tarti. If you say the case of Shabbos and Chol HaMoed, you're actually teaching me 2 chidushim. Why is that? Shamit Mina the Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. One thing that this Mishnah is teaching me, like the Gemara pointed out before, that on Sukkot, this Mishnah is paskening like Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, that they would blow when they came to the Mizbeach, where they put up the Arava by the Mizbeach, and not on the 10th step. So it's teaching me that halacha. And also, V'shamet Mina, the Rav Acha B'Chanina. And the Mishnah would also be teaching me this chiddush of Rav Acha B'Chanina, that for every musaf you have to blow separately. So, true, the Erev Shabbos and Chol HaMoed and Shabbos and Chol HaMoed is the same number of 48, but the Mishnah should rather teach the case of Shabbos because there's an additional chiddush here that you blow for every musaf. So therefore, Elam Rava gives a different answer. The reason why the Mishnah doesn't say this case of Shabbos and Chol HaMoed is because it's actually much less. You know, since the water of the Nisuch HaMayim, you don't fill it up on Shabbos. You fill it up from before Shabbos. So therefore, all those different places that they blew when they went to fill up the water, you don't blow on Shabbos. The Shara Elya and the Shara Tachten, and by the actual filling up of the water, the Batzri Tuve. So you're missing a lot of those tkiyas that you have to take out for the times that they went out to blow, to take the water. So therefore, it's actually less. But the Gemara has another case. Frag the Gemara, Velis, Ninami, let the Mishnah say, Rosh Hashanah, Shachaliyah is b'Shabbos. A Rosh Hashanah that falls out in Shabbos, So then it would also come out to 48. How is it 48? The ha'ikit chlasa musafin. On Rosh Hashanah that falls out in Shabbos, you bring in the Beis HaMikdash 3 different musafin. Musaf the Rosh Hashanah, Musaf the Rosh Chodesh, and Musaf the Shabbos. So if there's 3 different musafin, for every musaf there's 9 kailas. So 9 times 3 is 27. Plus the 21 kailas of every day is together 48. So it's the same 48 like an Erev Shabbos, Shechaliyas, and Chalamayit. So why doesn't it say this case of Rosh Hashanah that fall out in Shabbos? Sagt the Gemara, Erev Shabbos, Shebetech HaChag, Itzter Chalei. No, the Mishnah is teaching you dafke this case of Erev Shabbos that falls out in Chalamayit, that's a Chiddush. L'shmi'inan k'der Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. To come and let me know this chiddush of Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov that you don't blow the shofar, or you don't blow the chatzaitzis, that is, on the 10th step, but you blow it when you come to the Mizbeach and you put up the arabas by the Mizbeach. So he wants to teach me this chiddush like Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. Fragt the Gemara, but there's still a question here. Atu, Mika Amar, Listni Ha, V'Listni Ha. Was my question that the Mishnah should only say the case of Erev Shabbos that comes out in Chol HaMoed, and not say the case of Rosh Hashanah Shechaliyas b'Shabbos, or the other way around? Was my question that the Mishnah should only say the case of Rosh Hashanah Shechaliyas b'Shabbos and not the case that the Mishnah said? My question was Listni Ha v'Listni Ha. Let the Mishnah say both scenarios. If it's looking to have that date when there was the maximum, why doesn't the Mishnah say that there's a few dates when you have this maximum amount of kailas that they blew, the 48 kailas? And for the Gemara, Tana v'Shayir, the Mishnah says the times when they blew 48 kailas, and it leaves other cases where it could have mentioned it, but the Mishnah leaves them. You have many times in the Gemara where it says when the Mishnah does not enumerate all the different scenarios possible. So over here as well, you're right. Rosh Hashanah Shechaliyas b'Shabbos you blew 48 kailas, but the Mishnah left it out. Frag the Gemara, my shiur, the high shiur. What else did it leave out along with this that it left out? The rule is if the Mishnah is leaving out one case, it will not leave out just one case. But if there's more than one case that it leaves out, so then the Mishnah will leave it out. So what else did it leave out? So the Gemara says, shiur Erev Pesach. It left out Erev Pesach, with the Karbonis Pesach that were brought in the Beis HaMikdash. There was also 48 kailas. Why was there 48 kailas? So Rashi here explains that when they brought the Karbonis Pesach in the Beis HaMikdash, we learned this in Masechet Pesachim, they came in groups. They came in 3 different groups. And every group, they would say Hallel. And for every time they said Hallel, they blew the shofar 3 times at the beginning of the Hallel. How many times did each group say Hallel? So the Gemara there in Pesachim says that each group, it took a while until all the Karbonis of each group was brought. So they said Hallel 3 times. When they said Hallel 3 times, so that means that for each group they blew shofar 9 times. So if there were 3 groups,
It wasn't exactly 3 times.
It was what?
The minimum of 3 times.
Correct. Okay, we'll see in a second. The Gemara is going to explain here. But the Rashi says that the groups, they at least began saying the Hallel the 3rd time. They got so far that they began saying Hallel the 3rd time. So you blow the shofar 3 times when you begin saying the Hallel. So it comes out that each group blew shofar 9 times. So if there were 3 groups, 9 times 3 is 27 kailas, plus the 21 of every day. So that's together 48. So on every Erev Pesach, they blew the chatzaitzis 48 times. So that's another case that the Mishnah leaves out. So the Gemara says, no, not necessarily. Mishum Erev Pesach, if it's the Erev Pesach that the Mishnah is leaving out, Lav shiuruhu. No, the Mishnah is not leaving that out. They did not blow 48 times. Why? The Hamani Rabbi Yehudi. We could say that our Mishnah follows the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. The Amar Rabbi Yehuda in Pesachim says, Mimeyem shel katslishis. All the years when there was the 3rd group, lo higia loima ahavti ki yishma Hashem. The 3rd group, everybody wanted to be in the beginning, the 1st, and at least in the 2nd group. The 3rd group was a very little people, and therefore they only got to the middle of the first time saying Hallel. So the 3rd group only blew shofar once, 3 times. No, that's not shofar again, it's chatzaitzis. They only blew 3 times in the first time that they said Hallel. They didn't get to blow a 2nd and 3rd time. So therefore, you're missing 6 kailas for the other 2 groups, so they only blew 42 times on Erev Pesach, according to Rav Yehuda. Okay, so therefore that's what our Gemara is suggesting. Maybe our Mishnah is Rav Yehuda, so therefore there is no other case that the Mishnah left out. Fragt the Gemara, but hoy kimne de like Rav Yehuda. What the other gears on the side is v'ha'amrit reishe de like Rav Yehuda. But when it came to the previous Mishnah, The Gemara said before that it's not according to Rabbi Yehuda. What did it say in the previous in the Mishnah? Actually, sorry, it's actually going on this Mishnah itself. The Gemara in the beginning said that this Mishnah is not going according to Rabbi Yehuda, because our Mishnah, when it speaks about the kailas of the Chatzaitzres, the numbers that it says is 21 and 48. Rabbi Yehuda has different numbers. Rabbi Yehuda's numbers are 7 and 16. Why? So the Gemara explained before, because according to Rabbi Yehuda, Tkiya, true Tkiya are counted as 1. The Tana of our Mishnah is counting Tkiya, true Tkiya as 3. So the Tana of our Mishnah is not going according to the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. So how are you suggesting now that it goes according to Rabbi Yehuda? So the Gemara says, maybe our Mishnah, these two subjects are not necessarily related to one another. Vidilme, but maybe, Hai Tana Savale Kavasei B'choda. Maybe the Tana of our Mishnah holds like Rabbi Yehuda in one aspect. Regarding what happened, the history of what happened by the groups, by the Karbonis Psachim, and that the third group never got past the middle of the first time Halal, maybe in that, he holds like Rabbi Yehuda. So it's not 48 times that they blew then. And on the other hand, the Poligale B'chada, and the Tana of the Mishnah argues on Rabbi Yehuda beneged to how you count the number, Tkiya, true Tkiya, that you don't count it as 1, but you count it as 3. So these are two different subjects that are not necessarily connected to each other. So maybe the Tana of our Mishnah agrees to him with one point and disagrees with another point. So B'kitzur, the point is, you can't use Erev Pesach as another scenario that the Tana left out. Maybe the Tana of our Mishnah holds that they did not blow 48 times in Erev Pesach. So therefore the Gemara says, there's another case that the Tana left out. Elamai shiur. What did the Tana leave out? The high shiur. There's something else that he left out, and therefore he leaves out the case of Rosh Hashanah shechaliyah b'Shabbos. Shiur erev ha-Pesach shechaliyah is be'erev Shabbos. What he left out is not only erev Pesach, when they brought the Karbonis Pesach, but it was also on the erev Shabbos. So apik shit v'ayil shit. Take out the 6. According to Rabbi Yehuda, we're missing 6 because the last group did not blow shofar another 2 times, so you're missing those 6 for the 48. But now you put in another 6 for what they blew on Erev Shabbos, to be mevatel the people from Malacha and to say that Shabbos is here. So on Erev Pesach, Shechali is be'erev Shabbos, you do have 48. So that's the other case that the Mishnah left out. So the Mishnah left out.
Why it's only 6?
What do you mean? What's you take out 6? According to Rabbi Yehuda, on Erev Pesach Shechali is b'Shabbos, the last group they only blew shofar once.
It was not.
Each group blew 9 times. That's what it says according to the Tanna Kama. 3 each time they said Halal, they blew 3 times, and each group said Halal 3 times. So therefore, each group blew 9 times. According to Rabbi Yehuda, the last group only got to say Halal halfway through the first time, so they only blew 3 times. So that's deducting 6. But you add another 6 for the fact that it's out of Shabbos. So that's 48 times. So there's another 2 times that they blew 48 times. Rosh Hashanah that comes out in Shabbos, and Erev Pesach that's on an Erev Shabbos. The Gemara continues on this inyan. So in the Mishnah again it said, Ve'ein mesifin al memches. You never blow in the Beis HaMikdash more than 48. Fragt the Gemara, V'loi, there's never more than 48. But v'ha'ike Erev Pesach shechaliyah is b'Shabbos. How about Erev Pesach that comes out not on Erev Shabbos like we just said, but Erev Pesach that comes out on Shabbos itself? It's going to be more. Why? According to Rabbi Yehuda, that says that they would blow 42 because the last time of the groups, the last group did not only blew 3 times. So as the cheshbon we made before, it comes out to 42. So according to him, chamshin v'chada, it's going to come out to be 51. Okay, so Rashi here makes the cheshbon. If you look in Rashi says there's the 21 of every day. Then there's 9, it's Shabbos, so there's the 9 of the Musafin, so that's 30. And then there's another 18 for the groups that came for the Karban Pesach that they blew. Right? Not according to Rabbi Yehuda, they blew 18 for the first 2 groups, and then another 3 for the last group. The last group didn't get to say Halal more than a half a time, so there's the last group another 3, so that's another 21. So again, that's 30 plus 21, which is 51. So according to Rabbi Yehuda, it comes out that there was 51 kailas that they blew on that day, not 48. So how does the Mishnah say that the maximum is 48? And Ila Rabbanan, according to the Rabbanan, that the third group that brought the Karban Pesach blew 9 times, so Chamshin v'Sheva, you have to add another 6. So the maximum that they blew on that day was 57. So how could you say that it's only 48? Answers the Gemara, you're right, there is this possibility. But Kikatani, when the Mishnah here says that the maximum is 48, the Mishnah is referring to Midi the Isei B'chol Shana. That's something that happens every single year. You have Shabbos, Erev Shabbos falling out on Chol Hamoed, that's something that happens every year. Erev HaPesach, Shechali is b'Shabbos. But Erev Pesach coming out on Shabbos, the Lesse B'chol Shana V'Shana does not come out every year. It's actually not very often at all. So like Katani, that the Mishnah does not mention at all. Fragt the Gemara, wait a minute, you're saying that the Mishnah is only mentioning something that comes out every year? Atu Erev Shabbos Shebetoich HaChag Mi Isa B'chol Shana? Do you have an Erev Shabbos on Chol Hamoed Sukkos every single year? It's possible that you don't have an Erev Shabbos on Chol Hamoed Sukkos. How is that? If the first day of Sukkos is on Erev Shabbos, so then when is Erev Shabbos going to be? The next Erev Shabbos is going to be on Shmini Atzeres. You're not going to have an Erev Shabbos the entire Chol Hamoed. And for the Gemara, no, that's not possible. Because ki mekal inon Yom Tov Rishon be'erev Shabbos, when Chazal see that the first day of Sukkot is going to come out on an Erev Shabbos, mitchi dachinon lei. They push it off a day that the first day of Sukkot should be on Shabbos itself. What's the reason? My timer. There's no issue of the first day of Sukkot being on an Erev Shabbos, but the issue is with before. Kivin de Ikla, Yontav Rishon Shachag Lias Be'erev Shabbos. If the first day of Sukkot is on an Erev Shabbos, what does that mean? Yom Kippurim Eimis Hava. So that means when was Yom Kippur? B'chad b'Shabbos. That means that Yom Kippur is on a Sunday. And they never wanted Yom Kippur to come out on the Sunday right after Shabbos. Like today, we never have Shabbos and immediately Yom Kippur on a Sunday. And Asher here brings from the Gemara in Rosh Hashanah that either was excited because of Yarkaya, which is the vegetables, the food that gets spoiled. It didn't have refrigeration in those days, so they didn't know the food will get spoiled. Or there's the Gzeira of Messiah, that if you have to bury someone, you have 2 days and you can't go and bury him, so they didn't want that it should be 2 days. So therefore, they always made sure if it was going to come out that way, so Chaydish Elul, they added a day. Instead of it being 29 days, they added a 30th day that it shouldn't come out on Sunday. So therefore, you never have Erev Shabbos on the first day of Sukkot. And so it comes out that there's always an Erev Shabbos in the middle of Chol Hamoed. Fragt the Gemara, but that's not true. But do we push off if we see that it's going to come out Erev Shabbos on the first day of Sukkot, or when it's going to come out Sunday, Yom Kippur, do we push off that it should come out on a Monday? But we learned in the Mishnah in Masechta Shabbos. So it says there, Chelvei Shabbos, the fats of the Karbanis of Shabbos, Krevim b'Yom Kippurim, could be brought in the Beis HaMikdash on the following day, on Sunday, on Yom Kippur. So it says clearly in this Mishnah, a case that we're talking about that Yom Kippur is on a Sunday. And even more than that, V'omer Rab Zeira said, Ki avinan be'Rav be'Bavel, when I was learning by Rav in Bavel, Hava Omri, so they said as follows, that Hada Tanya, this that it says in the Braise, Yom Kippurim shechaliyas Erev Shabbos, Yom Kippur that comes out on a Friday, Lehayu taken. They didn't have to blow shofar, or the chatzaitzis that is, to separate the people from the work, because it's already Erev Yom Kippur. It's already Erev Shabbos that is Yom Kippur. So people are not working. Ubematzah Shabbos, and if Yom Kippur falls out on Matzah Shabbos on a Sunday, lehoyim avdilim. You don't say the havdalah between Shabbos and Yom Kippur. It's interesting. Rashi here actually says that you don't make the havdalah ala kais. The Mefarshim ask on this, that it's obvious that you don't make it ala kais because you can't make on a kais on Yom Kippur. But Rashi in Shabbos says that it means that you don't say the atochain antonu in Shmei Nesra. You don't make the havdalah in Shmei Nesra. Because Yom Kippur and Shabbos, the point is, has the same level of kedusha. So you don't have to say atochain antonu. And so with Rav, when he taught this, he said, Divrei HaKoil, everybody agrees to this. Then Kislikis lahasam, so Rab Zeira says, when I came to Eretz Yisrael, Ashkachte Rab Yehuda bered Rab Shimon ben Pazi, I found Rab Yehuda, the son of Rab Shimon ben Pazi, the Yosef Ka'amar, and he was saying, Rab Akivihi. That Braise is only according to Rab Akiva. Okay, this is which is explained over there in the Gemara and Shabbos. But what's the point? What do we see over here? That Yom Kippur could fall out on a Sunday. We don't push it off. So if Yom Kippur could be on a Sunday, Sukkot could be on an Erev Shabbos. And that means you don't necessarily ever have, or you don't always have an Erev Shabbos on Chol Hamoed. So how could the Gemara before say that our Mishnah that mentions the maximum kailis, Erev Shabbos and Sukkot, is only talking about a case that happens every year? But Erev Shabbos and Sukkot is not necessarily every year according to this. Answers the Gemara, loy kashe. There's no question here. Ha Rabbanon, ha acherim. there's a machlokes between the Rabbanan and Acherim whether they would push off the kvias of Rosh Hashanah and then Yom Kippur and Sukkah if they saw that Yom Kippur fell out on a Sunday. Would they push it off or would they not push it off? This is a machlokes between Rabbanan and Acherim, and as the Gemara will explain here, according to the Rabbanan, they did push it off, and therefore you always had an Erev Shabbos in Chol Hamoed, and according to Acherim, they didn't. According to Acherim, they left the calendar as is. As the Gemara here brings, where did Acherim say this? The Tanya Acherim Ma'imrim. Acherim say, Ein bein atzeres la atzeres. The difference in the kvias of the day of the week between Shavuos of one year and the Shavuos of the following year. And also, Ve'ein bein Rosh Hashanah la Rosh Hashanah. And the difference between the kvias of the day of the week of Rosh Hashanah in one year and the Rosh Hashanah of the next year is Ela Arba Yomim Bulvad. It's always going to be a difference of 4 days. Okay. Why is that? Why 4 days? So as Rashi explains here, the cheshbon is very simple. But first of all, what it means is, for example, if one year Rosh Hashanah is going to be on a Sunday, Rosh Hashanah can't really come out on a Sunday, right? So let's say Shavuos is on a Sunday, so then the following year Shavuos is going to be on a Thursday. It's always going to be moved up 4 days later. Why 4 days later? Because the months of the year is always one full and one chaser. 30 days, 29 days. 30 days, 29 days. That's the entire year, right? So therefore, according to Acherim at least, it's a very, very simple schedule, always 30 and 29. So what that means is that you have 6 times 59. The 2 months, one 29 days and one 30 days. So you have 6 times 59 are the number of the days of the year. What's 6 times 59? 354 days. That's the number of the days of the year. How many weeks is 354 days? It's 50 weeks. 350 days is 50 weeks plus 4 extra days. So therefore, if you're looking to know when the kvias of the day of the week is going to be, the Shavuos of the following year, it's going to be exactly 50 weeks later with another 4 days. So therefore, if one year it was Sunday, the next year it's going to be 4 days later on Thursday. That's benegeh to a regular year. And if it's an Ibra year like this year, so you have another month, and that other month has 29 days, so 4 weeks is 28 days. An extra day, 29 days, so you have to add one more day, Chamisha. So then the difference between the Shavuos or the Rosh Hashanah of one year to the next year is going to be 5 days. So this is Acherim. So what you see from what Acherim is saying is, it always is this way. Meaning, Chazal are never going to add another day because they see that they don't want Yom Kippur to fall out on a Sunday. This is what it is. They always keep it this way. So therefore, according to him, Yom Kippur could fall out on a Sunday. But our Mishnah is going according to the Rabbanan that Yom Kippur will not fall out on a Sunday. Because if they see it's going to, they'll push it off. So there's always going to be a Chol Hamoed, the Erev Shabbos and Chol Hamoed. But now the Gemara goes back to the halacha itself that we were learning before, which was what, who was it before? Rab Acher bar Chanina, I think, right? Rab Acher bar Chanina that said that when you have 2 musafin, so you blow for the musafin twice, for each musaf. Just a second. Who was it that said it before? Yeah, Rab Acher bar Chanina. So the Gemara comes and asks on that. Meisvei Rish Chodesh Achaliz b'Shabbos. When Rish Chodesh falls out in the Shabbos, so the Brisa says, Shir Shel Rish Chodesh, the song that they sang for Rish Chodesh, Doiche Shir Shel Shabbos. It pushes off the Shir Shel Shabbos. They only sing for Rish Chodesh and not for Shabbos. That's what it seems like the Brisa is saying. If what Rab Acher bar Chanina said is true, that they blow for the Musaf of Shabbos separately and they blow for the Musaf of Rish Chodesh separately, so leimed the Shabbos, v'leimed the Rish Chodesh. Just like they blow the Chatzaitzers for each one separately, they should also say along with that the Shir for each one separately. But Rav Safra answers, my Doiche. What does Doiche mean? Not that they push it off completely. Doiche means lekadem, that the Rish Chodesh Musaf comes before the Shabbos Musaf. That's what it means, but not that they push it off completely. But they really sing for both, and they say they have the Chatzaitzers for both. For the Gemara, it means that they make the Rish Chodesh before. V'amai, but why is Rish Chodesh before? We have a rule, Tadir, v'shein Tadir, Tadir Kaidim. Whenever you have 2 karbanos to bring, one is more constant, the Shabbos Musaf, and the Rish Chodesh, which is not as constant, the Shabbos should come first. But Rabbi Yochanan says they want the Rish Chodesh to be more prominent. They want it to be first. Leida shehukva Rish Chodesh bizmanai. So in order to notify people, people should see that Rish Chodesh was established in its time. In those times, it wasn't a calendar. The Bezdin was Mekadosh the Chodesh, so they brought the Rish Chodesh Musaf first, so everybody should see and everybody should talk about the fact, that it's already Rish Chodesh. Fragt the Gemara, "V'haya keira of dinan?" This is the recognition that they made for people to notice this, that it's Rosh Chodesh. Ha'akeira achrita of dinan. But we learned in Gemara and Shkolim that there's another heker that they made. And what was that heker? The Tanan, so we learned over there in the Mishnah, when it comes to the places, the parts of the animals that were placed on the ramp that were going to be brought up to be burnt on the Mizbeach, so it says there, Chelve Tomet Shel Shachar, the fats, the pieces of the carbon Tomet Shel Shachar, Nitonin, Mechatzi Kevesh Lamata, so a kohen that brought it to the ramp and put it down there. Where did he put it down? He put it down at the lower part of the ramp, B'Mizrach, on the Mizrach section of the ramp. V'shel musafin, the parts of the carbon that were brought to the ramp and they were placed there for another kind to bring it up to the Mizbeach. Nitonen mechatzi kevesh lamata was put at the lower part of the ramp where? B'maidev, on the maidev section of the ramp, in order not to confuse the two, the tamid and the musaf. You have to bring the tamid up first and then the musaf. And then it says, v'shol rish chaydish, and then the pieces that they brought from the carbon of rish chaydish, nitonen tachas karkei v'mizbeach olamata. They put it by the karkei of the Mizbeach, which is the seiviv, which is the top section of the Mizbeach. In other words, they placed it on the top third of the ramp, higher up. And what was the reason? So V'amar, Rabbi Yechanan said the reason they put the pieces of the carbon Rish Chodesh at the top part of the ramp, Leida shehuk v'Rish Chodesh b'zmaneh, to let everybody know that Rish Chodesh was established in his time. So you see that they made this notification for everybody, not that they made the Musaf of Rish Chodesh first. Answers the Gemara, today, Hakeda of Dinan. They did two things to notify people that it's Rosh Chodesh. The Chazi, one that sees and notices the first thing, that they brought the carbon Rosh Chodesh first, will see that. And the Chazi, and the one that sees the other one will see that they put the pieces of the carbonis on the top first, on the top of the ramp. So they made two Hakedim for everybody to realize that it's Rosh Chodesh on that day.